Welcome to this GiftWorks video. In this video, I want to provide you with an overview of the new and improved features that we've included in GiftWorks 2013. GiftWorks 2013 will be released on July 10th, 2012 and will be available to those of you who are using previous versions of GiftWorks who want to upgrade to get access to all the latest features that GiftWorks has to offer. It will also be available to those of you who are just getting started with GiftWorks and want to use GiftWorks and these new features to help your organization with all your fundraising management needs. The features that I'm going to review today include constant contact integration, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn integration, address validation, campaign analysis, quick mailing, shared reports, smart list management improvements, smart list criteria additions, notes, task, and file improvements, mailing improvements, soft credit improvements, and finally, other miscellaneous improvements that we've included to make GiftWorks better. On the right side, you're going to notice a time listed. If you want to fast forward to a specific feature, use the video controls located at the bottom of this video to fast forward to the time listed so that you can quickly review the feature that you're most interested in, or you could just listen to the entire video to get an overview of many of the things that we've included in GiftWorks 2013. Well, let's get started and take a look at what's included in GiftWorks 2013. The first feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is our integration with Constant Contact. Constant Contact is an email service that allows you to store your contact information and email addresses. It allows you to break up those contacts into different lists, allows you to create emails like newsletters and solicitation letters and so on. And then it allows you to send those emails out to the different lists that you have within Constant Contact. It also ensures or tries to ensure that your emails get delivered properly. And once they do, you're able to track how many people open those emails, how many people click on content within your emails, and how many people forward those emails on to others. It also allows you to track who didn't receive the emails. Perhaps those emails bounced and were undeliverable for some reason. Nonprofit organizations also are using GiftWorks to track their donors and their donor information and their email addresses and so on. Organizations that are using both GiftWorks and Constant Contact have had a challenge up till now of keeping that information in sync. That is, whenever information's updated in GiftWorks, that it's properly updated in Constant Contact. Or if information gets updated in Constant Contact, that it properly gets updated in GiftWorks. And keeping that in sync up to this point has involved things like manual intervention or keeping information up to date through a series of exporting and importing between GiftWorks and Constant Contact. And now with GiftWorks integration with Constant Contact, we think it's got a whole lot easier. I want to show you this how it works real quickly in just a second, but as I go to the settings area, I want to remind you that this is just a quick, I just want to give you a really quick overview of how it works, and that we're going to have a very in-depth video, training video, that's going to show you how the two work together and how to get things set up. So if you want to learn a little bit more, make sure you check out that more in-depth training video that'll show you how to integrate GiftWorks and Constant Contact together. So let me quickly just show you how it kind of works. I'm going to go over to the settings area under additional settings and tools and click on Constant Contact. And then I'm going to choose the option to synchronize with Constant Contact. I'm going to provide my Constant Contact username and password. So this is the same information that I'd log into Constant Contact with. I'm going to click Next. GiftWorks goes out to Constant Contact and retrieves your Constant Contact mailing lists and provides some options of how to handle each of the mailing lists. I'm going to just choose the default options with each of these mailing lists and click Next. Then I'm going to choose some options for integrating with Constant Contact. The first set of options talk about how do I want to control the synchronization between GiftWorks and Constant Contact every time I sync. That is, every time I update the information between the two. And you'll choose from some basic options here. And then I'm going to choose from some options that will just be handled the very first time I synchronize with GiftWorks and Constant Contact. And after kind of reviewing these and realizing which ones are appropriate, you'll select the appropriate options and click Next. Now I'm ready to get the two connected. I can review some basic information, and when I'm ready, simply click on Connect GiftWorks and Constant Contact together. It's going out and speaking with Constant Contact and trying to determine what information should be brought down and things like that. And so it's going through updating the different lists and updating GiftWorks to be ready for the integration with Constant Contact. So we're going to return to this in just a second, but what I'm going to do is head over to Constant Contact while it's doing its thing. And now I'm at constantcontact.com, and I'm going to sign up for Constant Contact. If you don't have a Constant Contact account, you can just go right to giftworks.constantcontact.com, and you can get signed up through Constant Contact. We have a partnership with Constant Contact. We're excited to be able to partner with them to provide you this integration with GiftWorks. So, but once you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and I'm going to just do MR emails and my password, and I'm going to log in. And now I'm logging into Constant Contact. If you're not familiar with Constant Contact, it'll just take you a few minutes to get an idea of what's going on with Constant Contact. So you'll see that right now I do have 567 contacts in my Constant Contact list. And I can go over to the Contact section to view my different lists. You'll notice there's 4 lists, and each of these match the ones that we saw just a moment ago when we were configuring GiftWorks and Constant Contact. So let's head back to GiftWorks. We see that now the synchronization is complete. We'll see that down here at the bottom, and I can just click on Finish. Now, once GiftWorks and Constant Contact are connected together like we've just done, now I'm going to show you some of the things that appear or happen in GiftWorks as a result of that. First of all, if I go to the mailing section, you're going to see under the Manage Mailing List section that there's now 4 additional lists that have been added in GiftWorks, and they're all marked with Constant Contact. So I see the general interest list, golf events, birthday wishes, and Mike Specialist, which matches what you see right here. Now, with that, I can simply go over to my donors. I can double click on a donor, and I can see under this About Steve Faithful section, I'll drag this to the top, I'll see that next to Constant Contact, I see that he's in all 4 lists. And if I go over to Constant Contact and we look up Steve, I know he's in the birthday wishes, and so I'm going to find him right there. I'm going to click on Steve, and if I go down to what lists he's in, I'll see that he's checked off that he's in all the lists here on Constant Contact. So Constant Contact matches GiftWorks, and that's great. And to adjust the information, that is to change some information, it's pretty simple. All I need to do is, let's say in this case, I'm going to remove him from Mike's special list. So I click on X. It says, you sure you want to do this? I said yes. Now you'll notice it also says pending synchronization, meaning at some point, the next time I synchronize between GiftWorks and Constant Contact, this change will be made in Constant Contact. I won't have to go to Constant Contact and manually make any changes. It'll do it for me. So I'm going to go over to Settings area. Now, normally you wouldn't do this. Normally you wouldn't synchronize every time you make a change. You'd wait for at the end of a day or at the end of a week. And I'd simply come in, and now, once it's already connected, the only thing I need to do is click on Update Now. It's going to go through and process all the changes that have been made. It's only going to process the changes that have been made since the last time we synchronized. So in this case, it just updated that information. I'm going to go back to Constant Contact. I'll go here, and I'm going to just look up Steve again. And now if I go to his lists, I'll see that he's now removed from Mike's special list. I didn't have to do this in Constant Contact. I'm just showing you this so you can see what's been changed as a result of synchronizing with GiftWorks. I can also do things like under maybe company information. Let's say Steve's the chief cook. Well, he got promoted to be the CEO, and click on Save. So I've changed something on the Constant Contact side. And whether you go in and change something or your donor, through modifying their profile, changes, meaning if you send out an email, a Constant Contact email, at the bottom, you can have them, you can click on, you can optionally include an update profile link, which allows them to update their information as well. And if they update their information, you can then come back to GiftWorks. I'm going to synchronize now. Let me synchronize. Now it's bringing down the changes that we got from Constant Contact, and it's going to be updating in GiftWorks. And just did it that quick. I'm going to go back and view Steve. Now we see, instead of the, now he's been promoted to CEO, and we see that information there. So you can see how easy it is to update information in GiftWorks or in Constant Contact, and it'll keep it all up to date. Something else that we included in the integration between GiftWorks and Constant Contact is, if I double click on a donor, you'll see the Social tab. This Social tab in here also includes things like under Constant Contact, this section right here, it will show you what emails this donor has received right through Constant Contact. So this is the ways, these are the campaigns, the email campaigns that you've sent out, and this are the results. So this says this email was not opened and not forwarded, and the links in the emails were not clicked. And then the email, this email was opened, was not forwarded, and one link was checked in the email. So you can kind of see the summary. You can also just say, I want to view just what he opened, or maybe what he was sent, so you can see what he sent. So you can kind of drill down and see what's been done in terms of Constant Contact with this donor to see perhaps how the donors responded, what kind of mailings they've responded to, or even just what they've received. Something else you can do as a result of this constant contact integration with GiftWorks is you can head over to the settings area. You can go to additional settings and tools. Under constant contact, you can now view the email campaigns. Click on view email campaigns. It's going to go out and actually bring back the email campaigns that have been sent out of GiftWorks. Out of constant contact. So it shows you recent campaigns that have been sent. But one of the great things it does is, so let's take this, let's take the campaigns would be things that the email campaigns would be like sending out your July newsletter or the Give Campaign 2012 or the June 2012 newsletter. And in each of them, it shows you how many were sent, how many bounced, how many spam reports. This is information you can get from Constant Contact, but we included it in GiftWorks for convenience, but also so that, let's say you're looking at bounces of a specific email campaign. You'll notice that this is a link that you can click on. If I click on it, I can now manage my bounces right from within GiftWorks. So if I send out a campaign and the next day I go to check on it and I see a number of bounced emails, I can actually come in and say, you know what? For this email that is it says this is a non-existent address, so I must have a wrong email address. I can simply come in and click, I want to delete this email. Or perhaps I just want to update the email address. Maybe I want to add the word invalid to the beginning of the email name so that I can come back later and maybe try to update these email addresses with appropriate ones. So you see how you can manage bounce emails right from within here, see campaign statistics right from within GiftWorks. You can go to a specific donor and view the email activity that's been done through constant contact with this donor. You can also manage their lists right from here. So in this case, this donor happens to be just in Mike's special list. I can also do things that you can do with GiftWorks as well, like if I go to mailings and I go to manage my mailing lists, I can also, let's say, if I wanted to add a bunch of people to this birthday wishes list. So I'm going to click on Edit List, and under Donors, I can actually say if I want to add a bunch of donors to this already. So maybe I want to add a specific smart list of donors to that list right away. I can go ahead and just say put adopted dogs in there, and I added all the adopted dog donors in here. Or if I wanted to perhaps add donors from another mailing list, I could do that. So you see how you can use some of the built-in tools to manage this. Keep in mind that if I added a bunch of donors to this constant contact mailing list and then synchronized, all those donors would get added up to my mailing list in constant contact. So I hope that gives you a kind of a quick little review of some of the benefits that constant contact will provide to you. I hope that as you kind of see what you can do with the constant contact integration, you're going to be able to not only communicate better with your donors, making sure that you always have some of the most recent information, but you're also going to be able to use some of this, what we call bidirectional updating. That is, whether you update it in GiftWorks or update it in Constant Contact, it's going to be able to be updated and synchronized so that you don't have to get involved that much manually or with complicated exports and imports, but rather you can just do it with a click of a button. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is our integration with your social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I want to quickly show you how you can configure them and then some of the benefits that you'll get in GiftWorks as a result of that integration. So I'm going to click on Change My Settings here. That's located on the home page. And then I'm going to choose Configure Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you'll see the three options here. And I'm going to get started by configuring Facebook. Facebook, in configuring any of the social networks, you're going to have basically a two-step process. The first thing is sign in and grant permission. And then secondly, you're going to enter an access code or a security code that's going to allow GiftWorks to have permission to access your social network. So let's start with Facebook, and I'm going to click on Sign In with Facebook. It's going to open up a browser window that will allow me to sign in and give permission for GiftWorks to integrate with Facebook. So I'm going to put in my email address. Now, keep in mind that if you're using Facebook for your organization, you probably know you have to have a personal Facebook account, and then your Facebook page, that is maybe the one for your organization, is probably you'll access that through your personal login. So you'll always have to log in with your personal information. Facebook does not allow you to have a Facebook page without having a personal login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now Facebook will say, do you want to give GiftWorks permission to access your information? I'm going to say log in with Facebook, and then it's going to say, do you want it to let it do these things? And you're going to say allow. Now we're not going to post anything without you knowing it. We're not pulling any information for any purposes other than allowing you to see it within GiftWorks. So keep that in mind as you grant permission. And you should always exercise caution when giving any application permission to your Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn account. So it says copy and paste the following access code into GiftWorks. So I'm just going to actually just right-click on this and say copy. It's a big, long code. I'm going to close this window, and I'm going to simply paste this code right into GiftWorks. You can right-click, copy, and right-click, paste. And this is a big, long access code that gives you access to work with Facebook. And I'm going to click Finish. And if everything went right, it should say you have successfully connected to Facebook. And great, hit OK. And now you'll see it says I can disconnect from Facebook at any time. Then I'm going to repeat the process for Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'll go through this very quickly. It's almost an identical process. Sign in with Twitter. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to sign in with now with Twitter, you can do it a little differently. For Twitter, you can just have a Twitter account for your organization. So probably many of you just have a Twitter account for your organization, or you may have one personally, and you could choose either one that you wanted to use, whichever one was probably most appropriate for what you're doing. So I'm going to click on Authorize App, and it gives me a PIN number back. I could try to remember this, but I'm just going to copy it, and then I can go ahead and paste it back over in GiftWorks. And then I click on Finish, and if everything went right there, it'll say you've successfully connected to Twitter, and I do the same thing for LinkedIn. So let me do this with LinkedIn. Great. I'm just going to put in my access information and say, OK, I'll allow it. And now it's the same thing. It gives me a PIN code. I just right-click and copy that, and then go over to GiftWorks and paste the code right there and click on Finish. And just like that, I've connected both my Facebook, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn with GiftWorks. And now that we're connected, let me show you some of the benefits you get from connecting GiftWorks and your social networks. Let me go back to the home page, and I'm going to click on the Customize link on the left-hand side because something that we've added on the home page, I'm going to remove the Donations and Tasks widget, and I'm going to add the social news feed right here. Let me explain what the social news feed does while it's loading. The social news feed brings in your recent posts from Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, not yours, but really the news from those social networks. So for instance, on Facebook, it would be bringing in all like the news from your friends. So anything that your friends post and things like that, typically the things that you would see on your Facebook news feed. So let me head over to my Facebook page. Let me just refresh this page. So you see that I have, and I'm going to sort it by, just make sure you look at most recent view. So I have Jeannie's posted a picture or something about a picture, and Susie said something about something, and David said something. So you can see this is the news that I'm seeing on my Facebook page. And on Twitter, let me go to Twitter. I'm going to look at my news feed as well. So I have the Nonprofit Times is tweeting some things, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. We see all these things that are coming in from my Facebook page. So if I go back to GiftWorks, I'm going to see that I have a number of Facebook posts. So you see these kind of match what's appeared on my Facebook news feed. I have some other tweets from Nonprofit Times and some of our competitors and things like that. So you see how this is bringing those feeds back in. So what this is really is allowing you to see feeds from all your social networks in one place. So instead of having to open up Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn separately, you can just view it in one place. You can also just limit it. If you wanted to limit it by maybe you only want to see Twitter or LinkedIn, you just want to get rid of Facebook, you can go ahead and just say, I'm just viewing Twitter and LinkedIn. So now I have Twitter information, LinkedIn, and so on. I also, for those of you who have pages, you might want to see news that's being made available for your page. So I have a GiftWorks fundraising software page. That's the GiftWorks Facebook page that I'm bringing in as well. So you can also bring in news from that. So I see GiftWorks fundraising software, and I'll see information that's being posted there. So this is an aggregate news feed where you can see all your information in one place. You can also show less posts or more posts, and you can also hide this if you don't want to see it. So this is where you can see your news feed from the news feeds from your different social networks. And that's one thing that we allow you to do with the integration. Another thing is I'm going to go to look at a donor. So let's go look at Steve Faithful. Actually, it might be a little bit better if we look at somebody else. Let's see. Let me add a donor really quickly because I don't think I have this person in here. Let me add Jonathan Lehman. He is the lead developer for GiftWorks. So I'm just going to go ahead. Oops, he's already in there, so we'll just add him again. That's okay. Great, I added Jonathan. I see him right here. I'm going to double click on Jonathan, and I'm going to edit Jonathan. Because one of the things we provide you is the ability to provide a Facebook ID, a LinkedIn URL, and a Twitter handle. It's kind of how you refer to the different usernames, if you will, for each of those social networks. So for Facebook, now I could, if I wanted to look up Jonathan, I could come back to my Facebook and just look up Jonathan. There's Jonathan now. His username is right here, Jonathan G. Lehman. Now I could just cut and paste that here, but we have built in some search tools right into GiftWorks. So I could click on the little magnifying glass and look for Jonathan Lehman. Now that's sort of a popular name, so I may not be able to find him this way. I mean, you can try to do other things. You can put in search terms that you can try to find him a little bit better. So I'm going to put in Jonathan G. Lehman. And I don't know, is that his? Yes, that's his picture. I'm just looking at his picture. So you'll see his picture, and I can simply select that, and it'll automatically put his Facebook ID right there. I can do the same thing for Twitter. So let me see if I can find Jonathan's Twitter. There he is right there. Click on select, so I can just put in his Twitter handle right there, and then LinkedIn uses a public URL. So I'm going to see if I can find, there he is right there. So I'm going to click on select. And so I've easily been able to put in his Facebook ID, LinkedIn URL, and his Twitter handle into GiftWorks. And when I do that, I can click on save, and I can show you some other benefits you get. So if I go down to the social tab, I'm going to see under social profiles, I see his Facebook, his Twitter, and you'll notice this little icon in the lower right-hand corner shows you what each one represents. And I can click on the view profile link, which just gives you very basic information from Facebook, very basic information from Twitter, like how many followers he has, how many people he's following, and so on. And then also his LinkedIn basic profile information. So you can see that information on a social profile, and now you can also right below that see his recent activity. So here is where you're going to see these are the things that he has written on his wall, or that other people wrote on his wall. So if I go over and look at Jonathan's wall, if I go look up Jonathan, you'll see where he says thanks to all of you who voted, and he's got some other things here and pictures and so on. If I go back here, I can kind of begin to match them up, photos of the day and things like that. So what you're seeing is this donor's social media or social network activity. So I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on with this donor, or get an idea on what's going on with this donor right inside of GiftWorks, and that's on this social tab. And each donor, as long as you provide the social network IDs, like the username, or the user ID, the Twitter handle, or the LinkedIn URL, you can see information. I can see some of his tweets. So if I went to Twitter and I search for Jonathan, let me just find Jonathan around here somewhere. Oops, let me go back. Let me see if I can find Jonathan in here somewhere. There he is. So I can just click on Jonathan, and I'm going to go to him, and I'm going to see the things that he's tweeted. So these are the things that Jonathan has tweeted. So hello world, and he says hi to Mike, a coworker. So I'm going to come down here and see, okay, hello world, hi to Mike, and so on. So I can see his tweets and the posts that appear on his wall. And while I'm here, I can also try to do some communication with Jonathan. So maybe I want to click on send a message, and maybe I want to write on his Facebook wall. And I'm just going to say, hi, Jonathan, just doing a demo. And I'm going to click on write on his wall. Facebook does not allow you, from a privacy and control perspective, to send messages. So you can't do that. So the most you can do is write on his wall. So in that case, I just wrote on his wall. If I refresh this, I'm wondering if I'll even see it come through yet. There you go. So you actually see it come through. I wrote on his wall, and now I see the message that I just sent Jonathan. And if I go over to his Facebook, if I go to his Facebook and come here, I'm just going to refresh this real fast. You see where it says, hi, Jonathan, just doing a demo. And it even says 29 seconds, so it says via GiftWorks. So it actually knows who wrote or what wrote on his wall. It came from me, but it was through GiftWorks, the application. So you can kind of see how that works together. You can also tweet him directly. So if I want to send a tweet, if you're familiar with how to tweet someone, I can just say, hi, Jonathan, doing a demo. And tweet. I'm going to tweet it out to him. So now if he looks on his Twitter, he'll actually see, I can see the tweets that I've sent to him. So I can go to here, and I can go back to my home and look at my tweets. So I see, hi, Jonathan, doing a demo. That's the Twitter that that's the tweet that I just sent to him. And if I go back to GiftWorks, I can also, the last thing I can do is send a direct message to Jonathan. So I can actually send him a Twitter direct message, which is kind of like, sort of like a private message in Facebook, but for Twitter, it's a direct message that doesn't get publicly exposed. And so that's a number of the things that you can do with the social network integration inside of GiftWorks. We hope that it provides a little bit of some more insight into your donor information. While I'm here, one thing I forgot, you can also limit the things that I showed you here as well. So we hope that gives you a little bit more insight. Keep in mind this, that just because GiftWorks is accessing this information, it does not give you any more access to information than you would normally have if you just went to the web browser itself. You're not able to see information that's protected. You're not able to write on people's walls that you're not friends with and things like that. So we don't kind of circumvent, or we're not able to go around any security that's in place. If people have private profiles or private tweets or things like that, or protected tweets, you won't be able to see that information. Keep that in mind as you use some of this. We hope it just provides insight and some communication tools into your donor information. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've included in GiftWorks 2013 are our improved address validation tools. In previous versions of GiftWorks, we gave you the ability to geocode your donor addresses and then be able to use that geocoding information, that is latitude and longitude coordinates, for mapping and doing something we call proximity searching. In this version of GiftWorks, in GiftWorks 2013, we've improved our address validation tools so that you can use them to determine whether or not an address appears accurate. So let me go to a donor. I'm going to bring up Steve, and I'm going to edit Steve using the Edit Donor button at the bottom. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to see his address, and I'm going to double-click his address. Now it says 355 East Liberty Street, Lancaster, PA, 17605, located in the United States. And I don't have any geocoding information yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click Check This Address. GiftWorks does two things. First of all, it takes this address and tries to determine whether or not it is accurate. Like I said, it's trying to determine whether or not the address looks accurate. It is not trying to determine whether or not the donor lives here. It's simply trying to determine if the street, city, state, and zip appear to be a valid city, state, and zip and street address. It also did bring back geocode coordinates. But what it did was, you'll notice a message down here. It says that this may be the correct address. GiftWorks is going to give you feedback as to whether or not it appears that this is a valid address. And in this case, what it did was it found one that was close. 355 East Liberty Street, Lancaster, PA, and you notice that the zip code is much different. The 355 East Liberty Street, I don't think that wasn't causing this issue to be maybe the correct address. It's because this is 17605 when it actually should be 17602. So I'm going to check it again. And now it says this appears to be the correct address. So now it has much more confidence. It does reformat it. You'll notice it comes back with the kind of the shortened version, East Liberty Street. This is more, I guess, properly formatted in terms of the address. And so it's giving me feedback that it appears to be the correct one. If I want to use this address, meaning if I want to update this address with what it brought back, I can simply go ahead and click on Use This Address. And now it puts that information in there for me, including latitude and longitude. So I can come back in here. I could make changes. So if I change this back to east, you'll notice it clears out the latitude and longitude because it's not sure if it's actually a different value at this point. So I need to re-click Check This Address. And it says it could not validate. It does not appear to be accurate. And that's because I misspelled east. It doesn't really know that I was actually referring to east. So I'm just going to correct that slightly. Oops. East, and I'm going to click on Check This Address. And it comes back and says, yes, it's correct. It does change the east to E, and I can click on Use This Address. And now if I click on Check This Address, it says it's matching. It still says this appears to be the correct address, and I could click on Use It again if I wanted to, but since nothing changed, nothing was updated. So GiftWorks has given you some feedback about whether or not it appears to be the correct address, and it gives you something close. If it can't find the address at all, it might just come back and say, I can't find it, and we'll give you no address to update. Once I do that, I can click OK and click on Save. And I can do that whether I'm adding a donor. So if I'm adding a donor right now, and I say Steve Faithful, and I provide his address information. So 100 Main Street, oops, I'll leave that there, Lancaster, PA 17602. And I'm going to say check this address. It says it can't validate because I literally put a fictitious information in there. Great. I'm going to try to find something that I can find. There we go. I know Queen Street does exist. There we go. And it says it found something. You notice that the zip code is different. So I'm great. Okay, I'm still kind of off South Queen Street. There we go. And now it appears to be accurate. So GiftWorks is giving you feedback about the validity of your addresses. And we hope what that does is help you get to a point where you're entering more accurate information so that you're not wasting mailing dollars or communicating incorrectly with your donors. Some of you may be saying, well, you just edited that donor or added a donor and you checked that address. I need to check all my addresses. Well, we've expanded a tool to be able to do that. So in the settings area, under additional settings and tools, it used to say in previous versions, I think it used to say geocode donor addresses. Now it says validate donor addresses. And we've expanded the capabilities here to include not just geocoding capabilities for all your donor addresses at one time, but you can now do address validation as well. So I'm going to just choose a list. I'm going to choose one of my lists. I'm going to choose board members. And now I just see a list of donors with their addresses. And I'm going to go ahead and just validate all addresses. Normally you would just click this button and it would validate the ones that that had not been previously validated. I'm going to go ahead and just click on board members, and I'm going to click on validate all addresses. And it's going to go through and validate every single one. And it's going to give you feedback. This little colored dot matches to a legend down here, and it says this looks like a good address, or this may not be a good address. Some of the same feedback we got just a little while ago when we were modifying the addresses individually. Or low, it does not appear, or GiftWorks was not able to validate this address. There was something completely wrong with it. It wasn't able to do it. So you notice that some of these are black because it could not validate them. Some of them are red because there's it's a low probability or it doesn't seem to be a correct address. Yellow or maybe, and greens seem good. Then once you're satisfied, once you kind of review these, you can come in and say, I want to check all my high ones, all the green ones, and I'm going to say, update the donor addresses. What that's going to do is say, okay, for all the ones that appear right or correct, I'm going to update those addresses so that they're now correct. If I have any confidence in my medium ones, I could do this. Maybe I said, well, I know that's definitely wrong, but these are right. And I'm going to just say updated donor addresses as well. And I'll go ahead and update them. So with all your addresses, even though you may, as you look at your donors, may not know specifically, in this case, let's say Winnie, you're not sure if she absolutely lives there. What is important is that this is a proper address. Hopefully, assuming that when you're entering information, you're pretty close, GiftWorks can help you validate whether or not it's definitely a good address. Keep in mind one thing. Some of you may be asking yourselves, is this CAS certification? Meaning, for those of you located in the United States, to send out discounted mailings through our postal service, you need to certify that each address has been reviewed. This does not provide CAS certification. We do have a separate service for that, but built into GiftWorks, what we wanted to give you was a tool that can give you a high chance, or a really good chance, that these donor addresses are accurate. It doesn't indicate whether they've moved. It doesn't indicate whether they still live at that address, but it does indicate that the address appears to be valid. It is powered by MapQuest, so we're using a lot of MapQuest information for this, which we believe to be really accurate. You may find that some brand new construction may not appear accurate here, but generally speaking, we feel that it's going to return great results for many of your addresses. And we hope it helps you save money and communicate better with your donors, knowing that you've got pretty good addresses. The next feature that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 are our expanded campaign analysis tools. We've provided a few additional tools to help you manage your campaigns just a little bit better. So if you go over to the settings area, for those of you who've been to the customize area and under change GiftWorks fields, you've added and modified and deleted campaigns. Well, now you can do a little bit more in your campaigns. And a couple of things, and one of the things in particular is I'm going to go over under my 2012, we've added the ability to specify your campaign goal, your budgeted expenses, and your actual expenses. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to put $1,000 is my campaign goal for 2012. And I'm going to click on Save. I can also provide budgeted expenses and actual expenses. Why don't I do that? I'm going to say, I'm actually going to increase this. I'll say it's a $10,000 goal. My budgeted expenses are $8,000, and my actual so far are just $3,500. And I'm going to click on Save. And you can go ahead and save that at the bottom. And once I do that, now there's some tools we've added to just give you a little bit of an idea or insight into some of your campaigns. So, or I should say additional insight into your campaign. So the first thing is on my customize, on my home page, I can customize it. And on the main column, this bigger area, I can add what we call a campaign analysis tool. So I'm going to go up, campaign analysis tool, and I'm going to click OK. I'm also going to add this campaigns one as well. I'm going to bring that to the top as well. I'm going to get rid of these and click OK. Once I do that, I'll see two things that we have. We have this campaign income by campaign, so that you can actually see all the different income as it's come in by campaign. I can adjust the widget on the right-hand side. Right now, I'm showing you actual income that's come in per campaign. I could actually change it to, let's say, actual expenses per campaign. I don't have that many in there. Budgeted expenses per campaign, income goal by campaign, and then back to my actual income per campaign. So you can kind of begin to see the total contribution of all the different campaigns that you have to your efforts. You can also limit, if I just want to show the 2012 annual campaign and maybe the capital and general care campaign. So I can kind of see what's going on with each of those. So I don't have too many other ones, but I'll include, there we go, a little bit of variety. So 2011 and 2012 to see the total contribution. Down at the bottom, we have a campaign analysis widget. What this allows you to show is based on, in this case, I'm showing a number, I think 3 campaigns. I'm going to just include my 2012 campaign just so I can see this. And what I can see is my actual income and my income goal and my actual. Now I have no actual, so we're going to start. Let me go over and just add something real quick. Let me add a donation for Steve Faithful. And we'll add it, we'll add a $3,000 gift from Steve. And I'm going to put, let me just go through here, and I'm going to add it to the 2012 annual campaign. Click on Save. Now if I go back to my home page, I should see that it's been updated a little bit. Great, I have a $10,000 goal, and I have a actual income of $3,000. And you can even compare other ones too. If you wanted to put 2011 next to it, you can kind of see the 2011. Now I don't have any goal set up for 2011, but you'd see 2011 and then 2012 next to each other. You can begin to compare progress and so on. Once again, there's some other options here. So if I wanted to also include, let's say, budgeted expenses alongside and then actual expenses alongside of that. So you can kind of begin to see and measure the effectiveness and I guess return in some respects, or maybe not return. You can actually see some of the values around your campaign to see how your performance around that campaign is doing. Another widget that you can add on the custom, if I click on Customize on the side column, is we've added a campaign thermometer. So I'm going to move that to the top, click OK. Now I have a campaign thermometer. Now it's asking me to choose a campaign. I'm going to go to the 2012 annual campaign, and I see that I have a thermometer which is showing me my goal of 10,000 and my actual progress. And I kind of see a thermometer representation of that. I can even change if I wanted to. By the way, you can always change what's being included. Right now I'm just showing received donations. I could also include pledge donations as part of that, or show pledge donations, or include received and pledged together. You can also change the color. Maybe a color that matches your organization, maybe just the color that's pleasant to you. So those are some of the widgets that we've provided in terms of campaign analysis. Some of the other things I want to show you are under reports. If I go under View Donation Report, we also have the Campaign Analysis Report that we've added. It gives you the ability to just produce a report that's similar to some of the widgets that we showed you. So I'm just going to include, let's say I'm going to look at the 2012 campaign and 2011 next to each other. And sort of like that widget on the home page, we provide a report that you can now modify. You can view the summary of this report just to show 2012, 11, 12 next to each other. Go back to a pie chart. You can also customize this more. You can export the report design, export the report, or save the report design. So we hope those additional campaign analysis tools give you a little bit more in terms of keeping an eye on your campaigns and how they're performing. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is called quick mailing. And whether it be quick printing or quick emailing, we've given you the ability to make it a little bit easier to send out communication. So if I go and look up a donor, look up Steve, and on the left-hand side, we have a send mail option, which has always been there, but now we've added some other options like quick email or quick mail. So if I click on quick email, I can come on quick email, and I can bring up a window that's dedicated to just sending out an email. So in this case, I can provide my name and my email address, provide the email address of where I want it to go to, so it pulls from the email addresses for this donor. I can provide a subject. I can even include CC and BCC people, and then choose a template from the letter library. So if I want to say maybe this lapsed donor letter. So dear Steve, hey, it's been a little while since you've given, and I can come in here. I can zoom in on this letter if I want. Come in here and modify the letter just to include some additional information. I can customize it from here, so I can just say this is a custom sentence. Great, and when I'm ready, when I provided all this information, so this is a reminder to give, I can go ahead and click on send. Now I'm not going to go ahead and actually send that, but you can go ahead and send that right from the donor, right from where the donor's at. Actually, I'll do that. Okay, and then it also, under my notes, tasks, and files, it also says an email has been sent and provides me just the history of what's been sent. I can do the same for, under send mail, I can do the same for quick mail. So instead of emailing it, if I want to print it, I simply print a template. So I'll do that same lapsed donor letter. I come down here, I can modify it again. This is a custom letter. I can simply print it from here, go ahead and print the letter. My letter was sent to the printer, and now I'm done. It's going to go ahead and record it, and now I see that the mailing was sent. You can also, right from here, print a label or print an envelope. So if I want to just print a label for Steve real quick. We did include some other things under the send mailing. So you can say send mail about this donor's donations or about this donor's pledges. So if you wanted to send them perhaps maybe another thank you letter for something about about their donations that have been sent, or about the pledges, you can come in here and very quickly be able to send a letter that's appropriate, or email that's appropriate for this donor. So whether it be quick mailing or quick emailing, or sending letters to about a donor's donations in particular, or their pledges, you can do that right from within when you're looking at the donor. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added to GiftWorks 2013 is the ability to share report designs. So for those of you who have done reports in the past in GiftWorks, and you've gone over to a report, let's say you just pulled up the donors by category report, and you've customized it. Maybe you changed the report style. So I'm going to change it to I'll keep it a pie chart. Maybe I'm going to say show report totals. Great, I see some totals on there, and I modify it to only include maybe I choose a specific smart list. So I'll just say all my donors and affiliate donors. Great. And now I see all my I see all my information. I've customized this exactly the way I want it to be. And then I go and I save it. Well, in the past, when you saved it, it was only available to you. But now, I'll just call this my demo report. And now you can actually share it with other users. So now when other users, and I'll bring this up, when other users go to their report section of GiftWorks and they click on Manage under My Favorite Reports, they're going to see your shared report. So they'll come in here and see, now I'm seeing my own reports, my demo report, but they'll see that it's a saved report that they can now add to their favorite reports. Now they won't be able to delete it, they won't be able to modify it, they can simply view the report so that any reports that you create, you customize, you can share so that other people can have the benefit of those as well. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is improved smart list management. If I go over to smart lists, in the past we had two options. You used to view smart lists or manage smart lists, and we've kind of combined them into one to make some of your management a little bit easier. So if I click on view and manage smart lists now, I'm going to see a big long list that's broken up by category, and that's kind of the same, but what we've given you is this options over here on the right hand side. So I know some of you deal extensively with smart lists, you have many of them, and it's good to be able to organize them by smart list category. So I see administrative ones and adoption rescue ones and fundraising. But now you can also come over to this options link and you can do a number of things like just viewing the content. So I can literally just click on it and it'll take me right to the smart list. Click back, come right back here. I can also view the criteria for this, which includes all my criteria that build and make this smart list what it is. Can also do other things like editing the smart list, so going right to edit it, or I can rename the smart list. So instead of you used to have to go through the entire edit process just to rename it, now you can just come in and provide a name and a description for your smart list and you're all set. Or you can delete it right from here, or you can make a copy of it right from here. So we hope that in terms of managing your smart list, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of deal with your smart list, making sure you're keeping them organized, and I guess clean, so that you can always make the most out of your smart lists. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is additional smart list criteria. Based on some feedback and some things that we thought might be more helpful to you, under smart lists, when you create a smart list, and I'm going to go to donors, I'm going to go to donation history. Some of the things that we've added are first under, if I scroll down a little bit, I'm going to see, scroll down, there we go. I'm going to see, we used to have earliest donation date and earliest donation amount, but we didn't have earliest donation fund, campaign, or appeal. So if you now want to see what was the first campaign, or who are the people that gave to a specific campaign first, you can see that. So if you ever wanted to say, show me all donors who their first donation was to the capital campaign or to the building campaign, you can do that. Or whether it be to a specific fund or a specific appeal. We also have most recent fund or campaign and appeal as well. So you can actually say what was the most recent campaign they've given to. And don't forget, whether this is criteria, meaning you're saying show me everybody who their first campaign was this, or it's just a column. So let me do this. Let me show everyone who's given just this current fiscal year. Their current year total donations is greater than 0. Click on next. So whether it's criteria or you want to customize it and scroll down. So if I wanted to see there, let me scroll up. There we go. So if I can see their first donation campaign, their first donation appeal, their first donation fund, or if I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see their last, their last fund, campaign, and appeal, click OK. So whether it's criteria that you're looking to search for people by a certain campaign, appeal, or fund, you can also now see it too. So you can, for each donor that you see, you can see this was the very first fund they gave to, or the very first campaign they gave in response to, or the very first appeal they gave in response to. So we've added a number of those fields to help, at least especially on the donor side, give you a little bit more control about finding donors based on some of their donation behavior. The other thing I want to show you is under Donation Smart List. Under Donations, something that we've added to, which we didn't have, under Payment Details, you now can look at a little bit more, you can use a little bit more criteria to view. So you can say, show me everybody who gave by a certain, maybe a credit card name, credit card account, things like that. Some of the payment details you can now create smart lists for as well. So we hope those are helpful in really getting at the information inside of GiftWorks that you want to get at. Well, the next feature that I'd like to show you that we've included in GiftWorks 2013 is the ability to filter and sort all your interactions with your donors. And so let me show you that by going over to a donor. I want to actually look up Acme. And when I see over my Notes, Tasks, and Files tab of a donor, I see on this donor they have a lot of tasks, they have notes, mailing notes, events, and so on. They don't have any files, but if they had any files, they would be here too. And one of the challenges that users have had in the past is that when there's so many notes or tasks or files, it gets challenging to either find what you're looking for or just to view the kind of things that you want to view. And so we've added this filter and sort option here, which gives you now the ability to include or exclude different types of interactions. So if you wanted to remove, let's say, I don't want to show any tasks, and I don't want to show any notes, and I don't want to show any files or others, then it would just come down to mailings. And so you can then optionally include the different things that you'd want to include. That allows it to at least filter out the things that maybe, or maybe just get it down to the specific type of interaction you want to filter by or view. You can also change the date range. So only show me notes, let's say, in the current week or the current month or the previous month, current year or previous year. And then you can even sort them by newest to oldest. So it's a fairly simple thing, but we hope it allows you to keep a better eye on the interactions that you've had with your donors, maybe even get to find the information that you need a little bit quicker so that it provides a little bit more help as you're working with your donors. The next feature that I'd like to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 are actually a set of changes that we've made to some of the mailing capabilities inside of GiftWorks. want to show you them. There's actually a number of smaller different changes that we've made. So let me show you them. Let me first head over to the mailing section. I'm going to go to the letter library. And I'm just going to edit, let's say, our foundation letter and click on edit. A couple things. First is now you can insert a hyperlink. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to insert a hyperlink right here. I'll say click here. www.giftworksconnect.com. This is for those of you who are going to be sending out emails that you'd want a person to be able to click on hyperlink here, which I could click on that right here. And so we've now given you the easier way to insert a hyperlink in your emails. Something else that we've done, now we did kind of an interim update that we sent to a lot of you. You might have seen this, but I want to make sure you know that it's there, and that's the line spacing capabilities. So, oops, I'll just put 0, and I'll just change it to double spacing. And there we go. So you can now space, you can do line spacing as well. The next thing I want to show is on the left-hand side under Change Page Layout. You can do a little bit more page layout that you could in the past. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more control over the size and layout of the page. But another thing that we've added is this change section layout. So for those of you who are familiar with sections, I'm going to insert a section break right here. There we go, insert a section break. And I'll say this is a new section. And so you know one section can be controlled differently than another section. So I'm going to say change section layout. I could do things like changing the paper size or changing the orientation. So I'll just change this section to landscape. So you know this is landscape here while this is still portrait. Some of the other things you can do under change section layout are add columns, do some spacing between columns. But another important thing is for those of you who perhaps have had challenges printing to different paper trays, you can actually say, I want this page to be the I want this one to be the maybe the bypass tray and this one to be the main one. So if I go in, if I view this change layout, you see it's auto selection. But if I come down here to this section, I'll see that this is actually the bypass tray. So that this is actually going to communicate properly with your printer to ensure that it's picking up from the right bin for the right paper type that you need to print to. So not only just the hyperlink, the line spacing, we've also increased the ability in terms of page layout or section layout. We hope that gives you a little bit more control over your letters. A number of the other changes that we've made regarding mailings have to do with actually sending a mail. So let's go over and actually start sending a mailing. So I'm going to go to the mailing section, and I'm going to actually, we'll just start by sending, let's say, the welcome letters. So the first thing that you can do is we've added some additional sorting options to the ability to sort your recipient list. So if you need to be able to sort a little bit different than you've been able to in the past, that'll be helpful. Another thing is if you're sending email, you've always been able to attach files to an email. So let's say you have to attach a PDF document, but some of you had actually requested for the ability to attach the letter. So if you're producing a thank you letter or receipt or whatever and you're emailing it, you've asked for the ability to attach the letter to the email as a PDF, which in previous releases of GiftWorks we allowed you to do. So I think last year's upgrade we allowed you to do that. So you can take the content of your letter, turn it into a PDF, and attach it to the email. But one of the things that you couldn't do was provide body text for it. So we have given you the ability to now provide email body text information when you're attaching a letter to an email as a PDF. So you can take an email, attach it, like something like a receipt, attach it to the email as a PDF, and then provide body text for it also. And then for one last thing, under if I'm producing letters, let's say in this case I'm producing letters and labels, and I go down to generate mailing, and I say generate mail. It's going to produce these actual documents. And then I'm ready to actually get to finish up by printing or saving. And for some of you in the past, when you saved it, you had the option of saving it as an RTF document. We've added the ability for you to save it now as a PDF. And you can either continue to save it as one letter per file, or you can put all the letters in a single PDF file. So we hope that that alternate kind of format instead of RTF, PDF is a little bit better for some of you. I hope that it helps you control your printing a little bit better. And also if you need to just send the PDF off to another printer or things like that, you're going to be able to do that. One final thing, as I was mentioning receipts, I think just a little bit ago, I'm going to show you one more thing as it has to do with receipts. So it's not exactly about mailings, but it's somewhat related. So if you're producing receipts from GiftWorks, if you're producing receipts, some of you have had some issues with receipts in the past where perhaps you didn't have the right receipt number or things like that. And once you receipt it, you weren't able to go and modify the receipt information. We have included an additional link. So if I'm looking at a receipt, we do have this link, change receipt information. It's going to allow you to update the receipt number and the receipt date manually. But let me kind of reiterate or just highlight what this message says right here that says proceed with caution. One of the reasons we're kind of giving you this word of caution is because if you do kind of change the receipt number or the receipt date, this is sort of bypassing our built-in processes for reissuing a receipt. So just make sure that if you're doing that, you're doing this with full awareness of what you're doing. I would especially warn our Canada users to make sure that you're not that you are complying with everything that the Canada Revenue Agency prescribes in terms of how to comply with your the requirements for receipting in Canada, and I'm sure other areas that might have specific issues related to producing receipts. So you can provide receipt information or change it if you need to. It's sort of a manual override. It does bypass some of our reprint capabilities and things like that. So just make sure you proceed with caution if you're going to use this change receipt information. And that's all with related to the mailing changes. There's some other small things related to the mailings, but we hope with some of the things that I've showed you, you're going to get a little bit more out of your mailing. The next feature that I want to show you that we've added in GiftWorks 2013 is actually an improvement to our soft crediting capabilities. Soft crediting, if you're not familiar with it, is a way of providing non-legal credit or recognition for a donor. And it's used in a couple different ways. Typically, it's used when a donor gives through a donor-directed fund. And even though the check may actually come from the fund in particular, you do want to provide recognition and credit for that donor and their giving. It also can be used to provide recognition or credit for those people who are integral or play an important role in providing or encouraging others to give. So if I encourage my employer to give for a long period of time and you know that I'm trying to encourage them and they finally do give, even though you'll provide legal credit, that is a receipt or some other legal recognition to the donor that gave, in this case my employer, you still may want to provide or give me credit, that is, give me some recognition or credit for prompting my employer to give. And that people use soft credits to track and provide recognition in that way. In previous versions of GiftWorks, we added soft credit capability and we put some of the basic functionality in place, but we've made some improvements that we wanted to share with you in GiftWorks 2013. The first couple things are this. Let me first go and add a soft credit. So we're going to go to a donor, and let's say I get a check from the community fund. Let's just pretend it's a donor-directed fund, and I am giving a donation through the community fund. So I'm going to right-click and just say Add a Donation, and I'm going to say a $2,000 gift. I'm just going to go to the end, and I'm looking at the other donation details, and I'm scrolling down to the soft credit recognition area, and I'm going to click on Add Soft Credit and add a $2,000 soft credit for Steve Faithful. He wrote the check. That's his money that went to the fund, and the fund writes the check out to this nonprofit organization. And in that, you do want to provide Steve with some acknowledgement that he gave through that donor-directed fund. So I'm going to choose Steve as the donor for the soft credit and the amount of $2,000. In GiftWorks 2013, we added this ability right here. Only credit this donor. And I'm going to come back in a little while and show you why that's important. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click Save at the bottom. So for the community fund, we've added a $2,000 gift, and we've given a soft credit to Steve for that full amount, that $2,000. Now, in terms of using this soft credit in the context of GiftWorks, you've probably done a couple things. First of all, you can go to Smart Lists, and you can create a new Smart List of donors, let's say, and you can analyze it based on their soft credit history. So if I look and say, show me anybody with total soft credits that's greater than $1,000, I'm going to see Steve on that list because he gave a soft credit just now of $2,000. I can also adjust this to say the donation history. Instead of soft credit history, I'm going to look at the donation. So these would be the legal credits of total donations greater than $1,000. And I'm going to also see, if I scroll down, I'll see the community fund on this list because we know we received a check for $2,000. But if you wanted to just look in general, and that is overall, meaning looking at both donations, that is legal credits, and soft credits, you can use what's called the overall history criteria. And under overall history, you can say, show me anybody with total donations greater than $1,000. And what I'm going to see, if I scroll down, is I'm going to see the community fund listed, and I'm going to see Steve Faithful listed. And for some people, that's great. But one of the challenges you may have, and I'm going to go ahead and save this list, and I'll just say overall donations greater than $1,000. Save this list, and I'm going to show you how we can adjust a setting to perhaps get a little bit better or more accurate results. So if I'm looking at overall donations, donors who have given overall greater than $1,000, I'm going to see the community fund, and if I scroll down a little, I'm going to see Steve, and that's fine. I'm going to customize it also to show. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to show. Oops. Let me go to overall. Overall giving. Total overall giving. Click OK. So you can just see the column of what's included. So I'm going to see total overall. And if I look at the community fund, I'm going to see $2,000. And if I look at Steve Faithful, I'm going to see $2,000. For some people, that's okay. But for others, they may say, I do not want the community fund showing up, because even though they did write the check, they were just a pass-through. And so what we've given you the ability in GiftWorks 2013 to do is to be able to click on the community fund. I'm going to go right back to that donation, and I'm going to edit this gift because I want to edit the soft credit. And I'm going to say only credit Steve Faithful for this gift. What that's going to do is when I produce smart lists or when I go to look at reports, that's going to, if I go back to my smart lists and I'm going to just view, and I'm going to go to my overall donations greater than 1,000. Now, instead of seeing the community fund listed in this report, because we only are giving Steve Faithful the credit, we now see his overall giving of $2,000, but we don't see the community fund. Some of the effect of this, or some of the benefit of this, is that you're not crediting effectively two people for one gift. You have the option of simply crediting Steve, that is the original giver in this case. There may be other circumstances where this isn't appropriate and you want to actually continue to provide both the legal credit and the soft credit as providing recognition when viewing overall donations. Keep in mind this only applies when viewing overall donations. When you're looking at donations, that is legal donations, or soft credits, you'll see those individually, but when looking at overall donations, that's when you'll see, that's when that checkbox that I just showed you will make a difference. So in this case, I'm only showing Steve because I only gave him credit. This will also show if I go to reports and perhaps look at a donor report, and I say top donors. So if you want to kind of look at who your top donors are, you may not want the community fund to appear here because they're not really a donor in this case. They're more of a pass-through. So we would expect to see Steve. So if I scroll down, there's Steve with his $2,000 gifts. Remember, in the lower right-hand corner, for reports, you can either choose to see donations. If I did, I'd see the community foundation somewhere in this list. There we go. I mean the community fund. Or if I looked at soft credits, I'd see Steve. But if I looked at combined, that is donations and soft credits, then depending on how that checkbox was checked on the soft credit is where I'd see one or the other. So that is an improvement that we've made to soft crediting to ensure that you can get a little bit more accurate results, whether you're looking at smart lists or reports. While I'm here, we did include other things under, if you've been using soft credits and you wanted a little bit more power, we have included a whole bunch more criteria here related to soft credit. So if you're doing a lot of soft credit analysis, you can do a lot more things using the criteria that we've added. And that's also for the overall history as well. So whether you're looking at legal credits, that is donation history, soft credits, or overall, which is those together, we've given you a lot more capabilities under the smart list criteria. So we hope that those soft credit options help. Those soft credit, the capabilities we've added help you get the most out of using soft credits in GiftWorks. Well, I'd like to finish up by showing you just the series of smaller or minor enhancements that we've made to GiftWorks 2013. Why don't I start with, and I'm going to show you about 5 or 6, so like I said, smaller or minor enhancements that we've made to GiftWorks. So the first one I'm going to start with is Smart Updates. So I'm going to go to the Settings area under Additional Settings and Tools, and Smart Updates, which Smart Updates, if you haven't used them yet, are ways of making global or batch changes to GiftWorks. So if you needed to perhaps change a whole bunch of donors at one time or change donations at one time rather than making one at a time, you could use this one of these smart updates to make a global change. And so you could simply pick the action that you want to do or the update you want to perform, and then you could do it to that smart list. So that we've added, I think, 3 new ones. The first one is the ability to complete or open a task. So if you have a whole bunch of donors that have a specific task, maybe a follow-up task or things like that, and you want to complete all of them at one time, or you want to reopen them at one time, you can do that using this new smart update. Another one is the ability to change the mailing address country. So if you wanted to set the country for a whole bunch of donors at one time, you could do that using this new smart update. And then the final one, which some of you may find helpful, is the ability to change the display name format. Let me just go to this one in particular. Let's say for all my donors inside of GiftWorks, I wanted to change the display name format, let's say from first last, which I know some of you have gotten, you got started using GiftWorks using first space last, but maybe a little bit into using GiftWorks, you realize you really wanted to change it to last comma first. Well, you can change that and then change that display name format over a whole bunch of donors at one time, and this might be especially helpful to some of you who need to be able to do that. So those are some of just the new smart update options that we've added in GiftWorks 2013. Another thing we've added is some additional preferences, and I'm going to stay in the settings area, and I'm going to go to Customize, and I'm going to go to Change Default Values. Default values, these have been in here in previous versions of GiftWorks. We've had default values. They allow you to preset up data or preset up information that you use to when you're adding donors or adding donations or pledges. So you want to preset up the city and state. You don't have to type it every time. It helps you speed up your data entry and perhaps make it more accurate as well. But we've added some preferences in here which we think you might find helpful as well. And they're located right around here, which the first one is to guess the gender. So you may have noticed in previous versions of GiftWorks that GiftWorks always guessed the gender, even if you didn't want it to. Well, now we've given you the ability to turn off that, so it's not going to guess the gender if you don't want. The same for the prefix. So it automatically picks Mr. or Ms. or Mrs. or whatever it thinks is appropriate. And now we've changed it so it doesn't have to guess that as well. You'd have to manually enter it if you wanted to, but for some of you who may not want to use prefixes, or it may too often guess the wrong prefix, you may want to turn that off. Another thing is around how do you the defaults for setting female prefixes. So do I default an individual to Ms., Mrs., or Miss, and then also for a household, so should I default to Mrs. or Ms.? And so you can set that default as well. The last thing is about organizational addressing. So if I have GiftWorks, Attention Steve Faithful, we give you a series of options on how to better provide the addressing for that organization. So as you're choosing an addressee, how it would appear in an envelope or a label, you can choose how GiftWorks is going to default that. You can even choose what the format of the attention is. And so we hope those preference options give you a little bit better way of controlling how information is entered into GiftWorks. While I'm on preferences, we also have some, those are some global preferences, meaning it'll affect everybody. But on the home page, under Change My Settings, we've given you some personal preferences as well. So whether or not, and some of you may have used some of these in the past, where always show a warning for critical notes. There's something called critical notes for donors that you can turn off or turn on this ability to show warnings for critical notes, or you can change the preference for whether you want to see warnings about $0 donations, or whether you want to give you a warning when viewing a soft credit amount that's greater than the donation amount. So these are just some personal preferences for you as a user. So if you have multiple people using GiftWorks, each person can have their own set of preferences, and these have to do with some warnings and some just alerts that appear within GiftWorks. The next thing I'd like to show you is something we call our Quick Import tool. Quick Import. For those of you who've been using GiftWorks, you know that there's currently three ways of adding information into GiftWorks, that is donors and donation information. The first one is by simply manually adding a donor and going through the process to add a donor. The second way is using our Import tool. And so under Database Files and Maintenance, under Import, you can import a file. The third way that we've provided is under the settings area as well. Under additional settings and tools is smart entry pages. That's the third way, and those ways have existed in prior versions of GiftWorks. But in GiftWorks 2013, we've added something called quick import. And to do that, I'm going to go to the same place that I would do an import, and I'm going to use what's called a quick import. A quick import differs from a regular import in that it uses a pre-formatted file that we provide, and we provide you either an older version of Excel or a newer version of Excel, and you can download this import file, the pre-formatted import file, right from our website. It gives you a link right to it, and you can we have an article that talks about the format of the file. This would primarily be used by those of you who either want to be able to add a lot of information at one time, and you can do it using this Excel file, or perhaps you have things like automatic payroll files, or perhaps online donation type files that you want to be able to bring into GiftWorks. And you can get it into this pre-formatted, or this format that we provide. Let me just show you real quick how this works. I have a quick import file that has just very basic information in it, and it's an Excel file that if you view it, let me just show it to you really quickly. This is a file that is pre-formatted. We define the columns, we define the information that's in it, and as long as you can get your data into that format, you're going to be able to use this quick import tool, which has actually some powerful features that can make certain things a whole lot easier. So you'll see in a second, this comes up. This just has basic information. You'll notice across the top there's a series of column headers. These are pre-formatted column headers. We determine them. That way, as long as you can get your data into here, you're going to have a really easy experience importing information into GiftWorks. We're not necessarily recommending this for those of you who are for the very first time getting information into GiftWorks, even though you could use it. Perhaps you're transitioning from an old system and you want to get your information into this format. We didn't really design it for that. We more designed it for those of you who are going to be perhaps on an ongoing basis importing information into GiftWorks. So it's more for that, but you certainly could use it for either situation. But for those of you, like I said, who have perhaps formatted files, maybe you have a website that you collect data, or you have an online donation service of your own that you receive donor and donation information, and you can get it into our pre-designed format. Well, then you're going to be able to get it into GiftWorks using our quick import. So you'll see this has just basic a donor name and some donation information. I'm going to just change this to $200. Okay, and so now I'm going to use this. I'm going to find this import file, quick import, and I'm going to click on next. And you're going to see that it goes out and finds the information that's in there. Some of the benefits of quick import are things like, you'll notice under match payment, it does, if this file contained pledge payments, GiftWorks, the quick import, would automatically go out and search for pledge payments that you could use then to receive pledge payments from files that you're bringing in. So for instance, perhaps you have an automatic payroll file that you receive that has payroll deductions in it. And some of those payroll deductions are used to pay off pledges that exist in GiftWorks. Well, the quick import will find existing pledges and match up to existing payments, or payments that are due. So that's how you can use. That's one way that you can use quick import. Certainly, another is matching of the donor. So it will find, in this case, it already found this donor name inside of GiftWorks. So instead of adding a new donor, it's just going to add it to this existing donor. It'll add this donation information to this existing donor. So I'm going to click on next. I'm going to just provide a fund and a campaign, and click on next. And then I'm going to import the information in. And whether this is 1 or 100, it says that the transactions have been imported. And now it gives you a little summary. And now I'm ready to go check out this donor and see that I've now added a $200 donation right here. So quick import uses a pre-designed file that, as long as you can get your information into that format, it'll support donor matching, pledge payment matching, and then some of the other tools that we have built into the quick import. We hope that tool kind of helps some of you, provides just another way of bringing information into GiftWorks. A couple other smaller things I'd like to show you is under the home page. We did add the ability to, some of you did not like, on the right hand side, did not like these reminders always showing up. Perhaps you had reminders that it just got a little, became a nuisance. We've given you the ability to remove those reminders, just so that you can kind of clean up your home page and get the most out of it. Another thing we've done is made some changes to reports. We've actually added a couple reports, a couple in particular. Let me show you. First of all, we have this campaign analysis report right here. And oops, I won't go into it. The campaign analysis report, you can certainly take time to check that out. It provides just an overview of an analysis of your campaign actual to budget or actual to goal and expenses budget to actual. Another report that we've added is called this pledge balances report right here. It actually shows you the status of a pledge at a specific point in time or for a specific period of time. So for those of you who've wanted to say, I'd like to know, as of last year on the last day of the year, what was the status of these pledges? You can use the pledge balances report for that. We've also made changes to the donor tasks and donor notes report, in which we added an additional filter that will help you kind of narrow in the information that appears in those reports just to make them kind of as focused as you need them to be. Some other changes that we've made in reports, just in general, really across all reports. If I bring up a report and I go to produce it, you'll notice now it provides you this feedback window. In this case, it's sort of a quick report. It happens pretty quickly. But you'll see it's providing you this feedback or this kind of six-step process of how it's generating a report. And if you have a report that takes a long time to produce, you'll at least now have some feedback about where it's at in the process. And so that hopefully gives you a little bit more just of that feedback so you know what's going on with the report generation. A couple other smaller things that we've done under export. We did kind of, I'll call it, if I go to a list style report, if I go to export it, we've given you now we used to provide different versions of Excel support and things like that, which caused some issues for some users. And so we've kind of streamlined that a little bit more to only support just one common version of Excel, and that'll now be compatible across all versions of Excel. Something else that we've done, not with exporting but with printing. Now with printing, we've given you the ability to fit to page. So perhaps you had a report that was too wide and it spanned across multiple pages, that is horizontally. You can now you can fit it to the page. So I'm not sure if this report has it. So okay, so now this report appears. I probably should have showed it to you beforehand. Let me do that really quickly. Let me go and just print preview it, and perhaps this will go across multiple pages. Now let me add a couple columns to this report. I'm just going to add a couple columns just to kind of widen it up a little bit. And you'll see, there we go. So I go to print preview now. There we go. Now it has 34 pages because it's now spanned. If I go to the page 2, you'll see it goes over to the next one. Now I can use this new print option, which says fit to page, which is now will compress it into one page. And so now it has all the information compressed to one page wide. So it's kind of scaling it down to ensure that you can see it all on one page. Another thing we have included in there is also to repeat the headers. So the column names are going to be printed on every page now. So if you want to go through now, you'll see those column headers are repeated. And that can be certainly helpful as you're trying to print some reports to be able to kind of use off the screen and then be able to see the information a little bit better. Some other things that we've added, and I'm going to move away from reports now, is for some of you, you use the donor ID. That is the GiftWorks donor ID to be able to track certain things about your donor. So if I go into a donor, you'll notice we've had this in the past where under the details tab, under record history, we had donor ID, which in this case has 949. A couple other things we've added, it just created a little bit more visibility. For some of you who wanted to customize it up here in the top area, I also want to show the donor ID. So perhaps you want to just see it a little bit more obviously than we've had it in the past. So instead of having to look at it on the details, you can show it right here. Another thing that we've done is also added it under smart list criteria. So if you're looking at donors, you can now view, I think it's under, might be under development information. No, it's under, there we go, donor ID, under personal info, under donor ID. So you can now do searching for donor IDs in your smart lists to be able to get at some of that information a little bit easier. So we hope for some of you who do use it that way, that'll be a help. Remember, it's also available under advanced search. You can also do a search for donor ID there as well. Another thing for those of you who deal with households, and I'm going to go under here, And for some of you who use households, let me go back. I'm sorry, let me bring up a household. Let me see if I have one here. I'm not sure if I have. Let me just change over someone to a household. So let me go. I'm just going to change him to a household. And if you go into relationships, if you've used this add household members link, in the past, you know, it automatically created these household members as affiliate donors. And some of you requested that you didn't want it to be able to do that, that you wanted to just be able to create these household members as full donors or regular donors, not affiliate donors. So we've added the ability to add household members and not create them as affiliates, and you can optionally create them. So hopefully that helps as well. The last thing I want to show you is something that I'm actually not even going to show you inside of GiftWorks, but I will bring up, let me bring up our customer care site and go to our knowledge base real quick. So if you search for help and you just search for API, something that we've added under the GiftWorks API, for those of you who are familiar with an API, that is an application programming interface, you may have known in the past that we had an API for adding or manipulating donor information inside of GiftWorks. And for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm talking about at all, an API is a way of programming or providing code that can interact with GiftWorks outside of actually using GiftWorks. So instead of using it through here, you can use it through code. Some people want to be able to create an automatic process where they might pull information from GiftWorks, or they might put information into GiftWorks. And we've had donor capabilities in the past, and now we've added the ability to add a donation. So if you go to our customer care center, go to our knowledge base and search for API, you can look for the GiftWorks API. We show you an example of how to do donor manipulation. And then down at the bottom, we give you the ability to do donations. And so you'll see with this how to create donation, how to add a donation, how to get a donation, how to update a donation, and things like that. So you can kind of view this code if you want to be able to create customized solutions that interact with GiftWorks outside of the actual interface that we have here. So I hope some of those other features that we've added inside of GiftWorks help you get even more out of GiftWorks. Well, thanks for taking time to watch this video about the new and improved features that we've included in GiftWorks 2013. Whether you're brand new to GiftWorks or you've already been using GiftWorks for a while, we hope that these new features and improvements and enhancements that we've made help you get even more out of GiftWorks and help you continue to do well in your fundraising, and most of all, to be successful in your mission. So thanks for taking time to watch.